After years of dealing with animal pests in my vegetable beds, I decided to build a garden fence to surround this area and keep the pests out. Join me today as I show you how I constructed this easy and very affordable garden fence. Hi, I'm Gardener Scott, and I do have a lot of animal pests in my Colorado garden. I've gardened in this space, my primary vegetable garden area, for 6 years now. And every year I have to deal with those animals. I have rabbits. Now the rabbits really don't cause much damage to the crops in my raised beds. But the dogs will run chasing rabbits or hunting rabbits, and they will run across the beds. And I've got gophers burrowing underground, and the dogs will dig around all of the beds, sometimes in the beds, looking for the gophers. I have deer that will just wander through my backyard and nibble on whatever they find. And sometimes it's my vegetable garden. All of these pests are annoying, and I've dealt with them in varying ways, but I decided a fence was what I really needed to keep things under control. So now my entire vegetable garden is fenced in, and this is the only opening. I can control which animals get into my garden, with the exception of the gophers, through this entrance. The first step I took was to try to decide just exactly how big a fence I wanted. I've got all my raised beds, I have a long mounded bed, and this whole area is what I decided needed to be fenced. All told, it's a little more than 80 feet of fencing to surround 3 sides of the garden. The 4th side, I already have some fencing and garden area, so that acts as its own wall. I was doing the work all by myself, so 80 feet of fencing by myself, I needed to keep the project simple. So I decided to go with basic wood supports and framing and basic welded wire fencing. I decided that 4 feet in height was perfect. That's enough that I can lean on it and set a cup if I need to. It can keep people out, it can keep animals out, even deer. Yes, most deer can easily jump over a 4-foot fence, but when they've got nowhere to land because of all these raised beds, they're not going to jump. That means this is going to keep everything out. And the welded wire fencing comes with a 4-foot width. Easy to install. The only issue I had was that all of the lumber was 8 feet long, meaning I would have to cut the fence posts, the 4x4s, to be 6 feet high. I was going to dig a 2-foot hole, then place this in, and that would make the height perfect. Though this is a basic, simple fence, I still wanted it to look good. So, as I figured out my measurements, I divided the distance evenly so each part of the fence would look the same, nice and symmetrical. This distance is 34 feet. I wanted the opening to be 4 feet, so I had enough room to move my wheelbarrow in and to walk in easily with a hose. So that meant I had 6 sections remaining that were going to be 5 feet. So I went ahead and got my real tape measure, spread it out along the side, and put a piece of rebar at every 5-foot measurement, accounting for the 4-foot opening. So I got all my lumber and, like an assembly line, cut 2 feet off of all of the posts that I was going to use to support the wire. And then once everything was cut, I laid all of the posts in place, all the way around the garden where I had marked the spot with the rebar. You have to start somewhere, and I started with this post right here. This opening needed to match up exactly with this pathway that I wanted to be able to walk in from. So this is the post that I began with. Now, there's a few ways you can do this, using a shovel or a post hole digger to dig that 2 feet deep hole. Luckily, I've learned the hard way over the years that that is a difficult way, especially when you've got to dig so many posts. So I got myself an auger, and an auger is easy. You just place it on top of that hole that you marked with the rebar, turn it on, and just push down lightly. It does all the digging. And in a matter of seconds, you have a hole that is 2 feet deep. That made this project so much easier to be able to just dig a hole, dig a hole, dig a hole, dig a hole. And the posts were already laid there, just drop the post in. Now, I saved money by not using concrete to support these posts. These posts, the whole fence, is not supporting anything but the welded wire. So I don't need the sturdiness of concrete to hold everything in place. I just dug the hole and put the post in. Then I took the soil that I had removed from the hole and just tamped it around the post, making sure that the post was plumb, perfectly straight up and down. Tamping with the post and my feet, I was able to get very sturdy support on these posts to be able to handle the rest of the fence. To ensure that this fence was going to be straight and that the posts were going to be inserted in the holes at the exact height for each of them, I went ahead and ran twine between the end post that I had put in place and the first post. I made sure it was level. And then as I sunk each of the posts in this section to start with, I put them in at the exact height of that twine, lined up perfectly, so that I know that this is straight. It's also important that this is level. So the next step was to put in the top 2x4s to help anchor in the posts and to give something for the fence to attach to. I double-checked to make sure that these were level before screwing them in. It was just a simple matter of cutting them to size to fit the center of each of the posts and then screwing them in. I worked in sections, so after that first section had the top pieces in place, I then continued the twine with this section to make sure that this matched through the opening to be as level and at the same height as that original section. And then I continued setting the posts and laying the 4x4s. At the corner, I have a 45-degree miter. I think that looks better than just butting up the wood. With all of the posts and top pieces in place, this was already a pretty sturdy fence. Then I needed to focus on the bottom piece. Now the bottom piece does act to stabilize all the posts and hold them even, but its primary purpose is to give something for the welded wire to be nailed onto. The top is level. I needed these bottom pieces to be level too. So I measured a board that I could place underneath the top, and then I marked with a pencil the bottom of the post. That gave me the exact position, the exact level point for me to put the bottom support in place. This bottom piece is just a 6-inch 2x4 cut from the scraps of all of the pieces that I put in place. It is screwed to the side of the post. And then I have the bottom 2x4s placed on top of the supporting pieces. They're sturdy, and most importantly, they're level. With the full fence structure in place, the next step is to install fencing. But My experience has taught me to wait a few days anytime you use the pressure-treated wood from the home improvement store. Inevitably, once you take the wet wood from the store and then place it in the sun, some of the boards are going to twist, to bend, to warp, and that's exactly what happened. I needed to replace some of the boards because of that twisting. It wasn't a big problem because I had bought extra boards anticipating that it was going to happen. So, one of the best things about using screws is you just unscrew the board, cut another one to fit, and lay it in, just like I did with this piece right here. With everything in place and level, not warping, then it was time to lay out the welded wire fencing. So I just took the long roll and began unrolling it around the fence that I had just completed. A long section of welded wire fencing is kind of unruly. It's very light, and my ground is not level. So I knew the top was level. I went ahead and attached it along the line of the fence with these clamps. And then I began attaching using these 3/4 inch staples. They're called poultry net staples, and they're designed specifically for attaching lightweight fencing. It's just a simple matter of taking a hammer and nailing it in to hold the fencing in place. I suggest that you nail in the top all the way around before you start thinking about the posts or the base support pieces. I know that this top is level, so by having the fence level all the way around, when it came time to attach to the posts and the bottom pieces, everything ended up laying flat. It was easy. I did recognize as I was doing this that while I had hoped the boards would stay perfectly straight with no bending or bowing, that was too much to hope for. So some of the boards do have a little bit of motion to them. But because this is just a basic fence, and I'm not that worried about the aesthetics, after I had the fence lined up, it wasn't worth replacing any more of the boards. I spent a lot of time debating with myself whether I should put a gate in this opening. But I come through this area so many times and I hand water, which means I need to drag a hose. So for me, a gate was going to get in the way. I decided to take some of the leftover fencing I have and just block the entrance to keep the dogs from coming in here when I'm not outside. This is enough for me. Remember, this is just a basic, simple, inexpensive fence. If I had gone with fancier wood, if I had made more of an effort to make this fence look crazy good, then I would put a fence gate here. But for now, this project is complete and it's met all of my expectations. The dogs are no longer digging in the garden, and I've seen no signs of any other animal pest. It took me years to finally get to this project, but I'm very glad I did. It did take a number of days to dig the holes, sink the posts, cut, attach, do the fence, but I was able to do it by myself with just a few tools, and I like the way it looks. If you want to see some of the other garden projects that I've done, go ahead and watch one of these videos next. I'm Gardener Scott. Enjoy gardening.